Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Scatterplots. I realize it's been a while since we've done one of these, but just kind of a quick reminder for Scatterplots. So I have some data up here already. So in this particular case, so let's just want you to know, so this is going to be the X and this is going to be the Y. And what that's referring to, my X is really the study time in minutes and the Y is the test score. So there's our data. Now let's grab, say I think I can do this. I'm trying to grab our graph, okay? So here's our graph. So on my x-axis, I want you to notice this. I'm gonna write out that this is the study time because it told us that this was the x. Study time in minutes. Remember, this is just one of the things that you need. On our y-axis, we're going to say test score. Our graph will also need a title, but I'm going to do that last just because in the interest of time, we're more interested in the graph part. So in our x-axis for the study time, it's from 10 minutes all the way up to 120 minutes. That's quite a big span. I'm going to count by tens just because it's going to be easier. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. Whew, it all fit. So remember, I'm not listing on my x-axis just the 30, 20, 60, 90, 45. You need to make sure that they are evenly spaced. So with the test scores, I'm going to have to jump a little bit. It looks like our lowest test score is 62 and our highest maybe 92. So how about we count by fives and start with 60. Now remember, when we do this, we need to show that we're skipping. So I want 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. So I skipped every other one, but we're still counting by fives. Now when we graph this, so the first set is going to be 30 and 80. So remember what that looks like is I'm going to go over to 30 for minutes of studying time, and I'm going to go up to 80 for the test score, and I'm going to put a dot right there. Remember, it's the whole X, Y. We got to go to X, and then we go up to Y. 20 and 74, 20's here, 75's here, so I'm going to kind of guesstimate. A lot of the scatter plots is going to be a little bit of guesstimation going on, but we're going to do the best we can. We're going to get as close as we can. So at 60 minutes, it's at 92. And at 90 minutes, it's at 97. So just follow your lines. We're just finding out where they cross. At 45 minutes, so this is going to be one of those ones that's right in between. It's going to be at 85. So that one was kind of nice. And 10 minutes, they said it was at 62. And at 30 minutes, they said it was an 83. So maybe. And don't worry if like this, they're really close together. Sometimes that'll happen and that makes a cluster. So at 75 minutes, we're at a 90. So again, this is one of those ones that we have to kind of go in between. At 120 minutes, we are at a 70. Oh. And at 80 minutes, we are at a 91. Okay. So this is how we make our scatter plots. So we have that X and Y. Usually you will see the tables horizontally. If you want to rewrite them vertically, you are more than welcome to. Sometimes that's easier. Let's talk about some of this data though. So this point right here, this poor little point, this is what we call an outlier. And to recognize the outlier, I'm going to point I'm going to list the coordinate point 120 and 70. This is the outlier because as you can see from the rest of this data, it's all kind of grouped together. It all kind of nicely goes together, but then this one little number doesn't fit with any of our pattern, okay? And so if we have any clusters, and we don't right now, but the clusters, remember, would be things where if I had, so this is not part of our data, but let me just show you. So if we had something like this would be considered a cluster. And the way we would write that is we'd say, well, there's a cluster between 10 minutes and 30. So 10 to 30 minutes. This is not part of our data, but again, I just want to show you how you recognize these. Okay? Now, if you look, as the study time increases in general, what's going on? How would we describe this? Good. So when we need to interpret, we can say as study time increases, what happens to the test scores? The test scores increase. The test scores increase. So whenever you are describing or you are asked to interpret a graph, this is what we're looking for. You have to tell us about the X and the Y. Now, this is also, this just happens to be a positive correlation or a positive trend or a positive association, kind of depends on how you're looking at it. They all mean the same thing. It's going up. As the time increases, the test scores increase. Okay, we are going to use this same data later when we start looking at how to find the line of best fit. Because right now we have this wonderful line. We have the idea that this is going in the positive direction, but we need something linear. Most of us are very concrete thinkers where we want to think, okay, if I put this in, if I put in a 5, I get out of 10. If I put in a 10, I get out of 20. So this data does not really do that. So when we create our line of best fit, that's what we're going to look at to kind of give us the idea, the flow of how this works. Okay, so remember, we're going to use the same data. I'm not going to erase it, so please come back. Oh, we forgot to title our graph. So what do we want to title our graph? Because that's important. Let's title it study time. So you have to have your title, number one. You have to have your X and Y axis labeled. And I don't just mean with what it is, we also have to label it with the numbers. So here we labeled it here, and we labeled it here, and then with our y-axis, or x-axis, we labeled it here, and we labeled it here. Those are going to be 5 points, just that labeling portion, okay? So let me know if you need anything else. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys later.